Suena el bongo, hazme un tumbao, que el ritmo lo pongo yo. Vamos a tocar soneros, toquemos de corazón. Y en este bonito día vamos a hacer un rumbo. Y si del alma brota letra, armonía y sazón, son estos los ingredientes para componer un son. Oye, ya que la fiesta está buena, se juntaron los soneros, vamos a tocar un son que lo escuche el mundo entero, que no me falle la clave y el tres que rompa un tumbao, que pongo que se destaque, que no me quedo callado. Toca la clave, suena el bongo, hazme un tumbao, que lo demás lo pongo yo. Vaya trompeta. Toca la clave, suena el bongo, hazme un tumbao, que lo demás lo pongo yo. Suena el bombo, qué rico suena mi bombo, que lo demás lo pongo yo. ¡Alambre! Lo mismo canto rumba, que te toco un guaguancó. Guaguancó, guaguancó, coronillares. Y ahora traigo mi changüí. Oye, pa' ti, pa' mí, pa' mí, pa' ti. Mamá buena. Ahora traigo changüí. Oye, ahora viene rumba buena. Levanta batanga. Ahora traigo changüí. Ahora traigo. Toca la clave. Suena el bombo. Hazme un tumbao, que lo demás lo pongo yo.
All right, party people, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's play one more song and then we're gonna get started. That is not a song. Play this. Check, check, check. 1, 2.
Sabe trucos, así le dijo a su tía, se me acaba la energía para levantar el matruco. Ay Dios. Un sabio que estaba oyendo, de esos sabios bien pelú, le dijo no traiga trucos, no es el matruco que eres tú. ¡Ay! sabio que estaba oyendo, de esos sabios bien pelú, le dijo no traiga trucos, no es el más truco que eres tú, truco, tucu, 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 tu. No es el más truco que eres tú. Salta la verja, perico, bríncala tú. No es el más truco que eres tú. Yo traigo tungo moderno pa' truco, tú. No es el más truco que eres tú. Para que bailes tú y lo vaciles tú, mamá. No es el más truco que eres tú. Cutrucu, 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 tucu, tucu, tú. No es el más truco que eres tú. Dice ahí. Salte calalú. A gozar. Cuando yo cante, cantan todos. Ajá. Y ven, ven, que eres tú. Sabara, 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 vale, va, que eres tú. No es el más truco que eres tú. Ven a bailar la rumba de truco, tu mamá. No es el más truco que eres tú. Cuido que ya viene Maruba con Juan Calalú. No es el más truco que eres tú. Prende la vela y apaga la luz. No es el más truco que eres tú. Ave María, que me dicen que se fue para la guerra Mambrú. No es el más truco que eres tú. Cutrucu, 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 trucu, tucu, tú. No es el más truco que eres tú. Para que baile timbero y vaciles tú. Pa' que baile tú. No es el más truco que eres tú.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I hope you guys are doing well. Let's get to work. We've been transition stuff. Yes, so I wanted to kind of just dance to the two songs that we did to demonstrate that last time to warm up, which is great. But also then you'll see the transition live. If you have any questions about the transition, if you want me to go over it a little bit more, please ask away. If you try something and you couldn't hear it, there was a specific song, let me know. And then I can get that song and then listen to it and be like, so some songs are just difficult. Yep. So let's get to work. Let's warm up. Then I also have, and I kind of want to get going now that I feel like we have this music situation settled in some like techniques, develop some technique stuff. Yeah. I was having a private lesson yesterday and it was awesome. I was working with Susan yesterday and it really reminded me of how much I am teaching when I'm doing this online classes. Yeah. So I also just want to do a lot more techniques. So let's try change it up. Let's go right here, gran combo. Let's warm up. Well, let's listen to that a little bit more actually. I just had a thought. I know you guys want to get started and you want to start dancing. Now, how do you know in this song that what kind of clave it is? Yes. How do I know before the music starts that it is? And the answer is that I don't. The answer is that you cannot really tell. But the beginning of the song is not always the case that's going to enter on the right clave. In this case, it just feels right. And then had I been wrong, if I were wrong, when I started thinking that it's I believe it's a 3-2 clave, that then I would just do a transition and then switch right back. So I don't know. Right now, you hear the clave? Da, 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 da. I'm just guessing it's a 3-2 clave. I have no way of knowing in here at all. Now, when they enter, see the singer starts on the 1. So that lets me know that's my 1. So it confirms it's a 3-2 clap, okay?
bambolina y tuve que correr. Yo no quiero más complicaciones, por eso me liberé. Mujeres egoístas me querían solo para ella nada más, y así no puede ser. Yo no quiero más complicaciones, por eso me liberé. Recuerdo a mi madre cuando les decía: bendito que eres un muchacho bueno, si te tumbó, me debía. No quiero más complicaciones, por eso me liberé. A todita le quiero decir que el amor hay que compartirlo, y si no, I'm sorry, goodbye, my girl.
Alright, so lots of little things, just two main things that I want to mention in there. Number one, I don't know if you saw or heard, but I would like for you to go back to this video at some point after class, not right now, and watch me dance the Cuban. Yeah? And the Cuban is this move, in case you don't know it. It goes 1, 2, 3, 5, come in 7, 1, come in 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7. Then we go back to the basic 1, 2, 3. Well, while we were dancing that step, there was a transition. The thing is that I've done choreographies where I danced the Cuban 1, 5, 5, 1. Like it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I can switch back and forth with that step. The whole idea of dancing the Cupid is to change the dancing to on one from what we're now dancing salsa on two. But the point that I wanted to make was that there was a transition there, and I didn't switch right away. I was comfortable in it. I'm like here with my timing. I'm enjoying it. It looks, feels good, feels right. Then when I'm ready to get out, 5, 6, 7, that's when you'll see that I just went 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So something that happened, I'm expecting this. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, 7. If there was no transition, I would simply get out of it. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. But what occurred there was a little bit different. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Then there was a transition, and this became a 1. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So now I'm just simply going to go 1, 2, 3, and I kick 5, 6, 7 when I was ready to get out. My point is of this whole thing is that you don't have to get out right away if you're in that position on purpose. And if you go back, you should be able to hear that I was dancing off time, yes, off time, because there was a transition there. But I stayed until I was ready to get out of it because I like that rhythm. The rhythm, even though it's transition, it kind of kept on going with that similar phrase. So I wanted to stay there. Okay. The second thing that I want to tell you about transitions is that actually I find this personally fascinating because it keeps you waiting, and then you're like, okay, once one transition happens, you'll keep on waiting for the next one. But the thing I wanted you to know is that transitions occurred in even numbers, meaning if once there's one transition, I can bet you money that you will have another transition at some point in the song. The problem with this concept, and actually Gran Combo de Puerto Rico tend to do it quite a bit, is that when they transition, they can often transition in the very end of the song. So instead of finishing the song with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes, and it's done, they will finish 1, 2, 3, boom, 4, and then be done. And then leave you expecting the 5, 6, 7, 8, and that makes it even for them. The fact that they did a transition in the beginning and they ended with a 4 count, that gives them the 2 4 counts to make an 8 count. And so for me though, I find it fascinating because I try to kind of start guessing where the next transition is going to happen. Yeah, and then hopefully we can hear some build up to it, and then you'll be like, okay, so one transition occurred, you caught me off guard, but you're not gonna catch me off guard on the next one. If you get like in this song Gran Combo de Puerto Rico, that is Me Libere, there were many transitions. I actually don't. I want to count them out. I don't remember. Maybe there were 4. Maybe there were 6. But if once you have like the third transition, then you're like, oh, am I gonna get 4 or am I going to get 6? And so you start playing around that way. Okay, cool. So that's I think everything that I have to say about transition, everything that I have to say about the one, everything I have to say about the clave, everything that I have to say about the cowbell, the conga, the bass, the singer. So hopefully you can put all of this together. It will kind of make sense, yeah. And then you listen to music, dance to music, and practice it so that then you can match ear, speed, and steps and counts together, right? And so that kind of leads me to then the next topic that I want to start. Not necessarily about speed, but with the idea of being able to keep up with any kind of music, control. And so that kind of leads me to techniques and stuff that I want to go over so that then we can start talking about some people can hear the music, but they cannot dance it. Some people can dance it, but they don't know what they're listening to, so they cannot match the two of them together. Right, so some people are like physically fit and they can actually dance their basic, but then when you like, hey, do you hear the one? Like, yes, we know this is the one, right? This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7. But then when you hear the music, you're like, where is that one? What is it? The one, and that's the whole goal. The goal is that you're naming these steps by the number. This is my 1. This is my 2. This is my 3. We hold a 4. This is my 5. This is my 6. This is my 7. We hold the 8. But we do this so that then when the music say that is my one, that is my two, that is my three, and when you hear that in the music, then you go, oh, I hear my one, and at the same time, I want to take a step one, two, three, and you want to put them on top of each other. Yeah. So like if you have essentially think of yourself as an instrument. If you have somebody, a trumpet player and a pianist, or a guitarist and a pianist, and they're like, all right, so we're gonna get started. 5, 6, 7, 8. They start playing the piano piece, and then when they play their one, the guitarist is also playing their one. But now you are a third musician. So when they're playing their one, you're playing the one. See, at the same time. So think of your steps as being an instrument. And so when the one happens and you're supposed to be there, you get there. Now, here's the key though. You cannot hear the one and then play the one, right? So if you hear it and you already heard it, then that will automatically means that by the time that you play it, you're gonna be behind. So you gotta start anticipating. Yes? Now, I'm not saying to go super early, hey, I'm anticipating. No. But I'm saying that you're ready. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. And you only need, thank God, half a count to get there. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 1. Yeah. So by the time the beginning of the one is being played, I'm already, my feet is there in the beginning of that one. Okay, and that's another, maybe that's a point that I can make about music and by the beats, the length of the beats. They have length, and we measure them in quarters. So 1 E and that, 2 E and that, 3 E and that. Notice at the beginning of the whole number, let's assume this is a 1 inch, right? So this is the length of that. So it's one beat. It is the length of that. The beginning of it is what we name the one. Then a quarter of the way into it, we say E. Then halfway through the beat, we say and. 3/4 of the way, we say ah. And then 2 will be right there. And 2 is interesting because 2 means the end of one and the beginning of the next beat, right? And so really, my whole length of one will be up to here. But this right here is sort of like you sharing a fence with your neighbor. Yes, your fence marks the beginning of your property or marks the end of their property. And so that's where this whole thing of length comes into play. So you want to land on the beginning of the beat there. And so that means that you're going to take the last quarter or 2/4 of the previous beat to start moving. So 6, 7, 8, E and I 1. E and I 2, E and I 3, E and I 4, E and I 5, E and I 6, E and I 7, E and I 8, E and I 1. See, and I land right in the beginning of the beat. Yeah, where the number that was we saying it signifies the beginning of the beat. But now there's a little bit delay. 1, 2, 3. There are milliseconds in between as I say those numbers, and that's the length of it. Okay, cool. Different tempo of the music dictates how fast or how much distance there's going to be between one point and the next, between one beat and the next. So a lot of people now, a lot of instructors, myself included, by the way, and a lot of our instructors, and we do this as a coping mechanism, but I'll give you both answers, okay? We say when the music is fast, because the tempo is fast, right? When the tempo is fast, take a smaller step. That way you have less distance travel, therefore it takes less time. Completely logical. Makes total sense, yes? But that is just a way to cope with things. It is my contention that there is a proper size of the steps in your basic, and I would like to give that to you today. I want to start discussing a lot of little technical ideas, yes? What the proper size of the step is and how to find it. It is different from human to human, but the variation from human to human is very small. We're talking about a centimeter or two between the size of the steps. And we're talking about human beings that might be 4 feet tall and human beings that might be 7 foot tall. So, yeah, so that is actually not very variable. in our size of the step, which is why we can all dance together, because we can make a smaller adjustment if necessary, a mechanical one. But I would like to show you today how to find the proper size of your basic. There is a proper size, but yes, we have as a coping mechanism, say make a smaller step when the music is fast. Now, why is what are we coping with? The fact is that we're coping with the idea that we don't have a lot of technique to be able to go faster. The size of the basic is the same, is constant, yes, and it's unique to all of us, but it varies very small. And I'm going to want to show you that in a second. But if the music goes faster and the size of your steps are the same, that means that we have to do something else to make up for the less time that we have. And that is that we have to put in more power into our basic so that we can move our body faster so that we can get there, right? So if we don't decrease the distance, so it can take you less time, and now that you have less time, then you gotta push more power into it. Basically, if I'm driving 60 miles an hour and I drive for 60 miles, it's going to take me exactly 1 hour. But suddenly, if you tell me, well, drive 60 miles an hour, but now I want you to drive for 80 miles, well, it's going to take me longer. No, you only have 1 hour. Well, something's got to give. Either I go faster, put more power into it so I can make up for the extra miles that's been added, or you need to give me more time. Well, it's one or the other. There's no other component in there. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to have a proper size of the basic, and then we're going to start discussing efficiencies in our movements so that we can be faster, more powerful, so that we can keep up with any music. And that is a natural transition with a timing class, because now that you're able to hear the music, you have to now deal with the other component of being able to keep up with the music. So being on time or off time is a component of two things. Number one, can you actually hear the music? If you cannot, I don't care how fast you are. It's just that you're not going to be in sync. You might get lucky and you might be in sync for a moment, but you might not at other times. Number two, now that you are able to hear the music, then again, it doesn't really matter that you can hear the music. You could be a musician and you could play. You could be a better player than me. But if you're not a dancer yet, even though you're a musician, your body cannot keep up with the steps at that speed, so you cannot stay with the music. So either way, it's going to produce a setting where you'll be offbeat. Okay? So let's get to work. Enough talking. I hope that gives you context for what we're going to be doing moving forward. And I hope that you see the continuity in timing, but also the transition now to a more technical repertoire that we need to build. Okay? So let me do it sideways actually, so that you can see these steps. Now, when we take a step, to determine the right size of your step, all I want you to do is put your hips square, tucked underneath you. I want you to place your right foot in front of you and point your foot. Now, what I want you to be really, really careful about, let me even get closer. What I want you to be really, really careful about is notice my hips. My hips, when I take my foot forward, are not rotated. I am square. I don't want to open my hips up. I don't want to rotate my hip up. I actually want to stay square, and I literally want to point my foot forward. I know you cannot see my foot. I'm trying to show you that my hips is not rotating. Yes, that is square. Now, if I go back with my square hips, now you can see here that my foot is just directly forward. Essentially, this is the size of your step. Literally, this is the size of your step. Yes. So from heel to toe, you'll have something like an inch or 2 inches there from heel to toe, right? So what you want to do again, feet are together, ankles together, slightly turn out. I want you to tuck your pelvis underneath you, square your hips away right on top of your body, and literally point your foot forward and go forward as far as you possibly can. Now put that heel down, and you should be able to see that you will have about 2 inches from heel to toe, anywhere between 1 and 2 inches. Now, if I'm going to take another step, boom, I simply going to leave my hips squared. I am going to go forward and then point all the way as far as I can go, but not far, not moving your body. Don't move forward. Don't rotate your hips to try to reach further away. No, I want you to really be fully committed on top of your standing leg. In this case, is my right foot. And then I want you to point out your foot completely forward. Yes, I want you to really extend that foot as far as you can go. And now you're going to lower that heel. And you should find that you will have a similar distance than when you had before. We hope. I mean, some of us can have a little longer foot than another, so it can vary a little bit. But you will be around that same 2-inch situation. Essentially, without hip rotation, that is your size of your step. Yes? What happens with us is that when we take a step, we use our muscle, and now we go 1. And we take this big step right here. And now my body has to work really hard to try to make 5, 6, and 7. Yes? Is that your size of the step is that. 1, 2, come back, 3. Now when we go back, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to place the foot, but the way that you measured is by placing your knees together. Yes, let me go a little bit closer to the camera here. By placing your knees together, and you point with your foot, and then that you have around the same distance. You cannot see it. Okay, around the same distance. So you place your knee together right here. Boom, you put your toes down, and you go flat. And notice that between my heels and my toe, I have the same about 2-inch difference between them. When I go back with my right foot, same thing. I place, my hips are square, my knees are together. I place my foot, that is my 6. And then in place 7, and I still have my 2 inches apart. Now you're like, well, who the hell dances like this? And the answer, you're right. It's not everybody. This is not the whole story. But what I want you to be aware of is that to measure the size of your step, you're simply going to stand with your heels together and place your toe in front, put your heel down. Now, the most natural question that I get in all the time at this point, yes, and I'm going to assume that you guys are as brilliant as everybody else that we had in our past as students, is that, well, Alfred, your steps are not ever that small. And you're correct. Now, here's why. What I am actually truly measuring when I take a step is the distance away from my hip. Because my hips are square and right underneath my heel, then when I go away, that's as far as I can possibly get away from this point right here, my hip. So that toe to that hip. Now, if I rotate my hip, notice my leg is going to stay stationary, and I rotate my hip, notice now how the distance between my heel and my toe just increased. But that distance increased because of the rotation of my hips. My hips went forward, and because my leg is attached to my hip, when I go forward, my leg goes forward. When I pull back, my leg pulls back. Yeah, can you do that? Yeah, some people have a tough time rotating and their toe doesn't move. Can you make your leg be like, imagine that you brace your leg with a stake and that you kind of have it on and it's like one big hard thing that you cannot move. That suddenly it's just there. It's a hard thing. That now if you rotate, it will move and follow your hip rotation. So why am I saying that? Well, because now we went from having 2 inches between my heel and my toe to whatever rotation happens in here that will likely add anywhere from 1 inch to 2 more inches from my heel to my toe. So boom. So now I have about 4 inches. Now here's the freaking coolest part of this whole thing. Now you would think that I made a bigger step. And that because I made a bigger step, like when I was demonstrating earlier, that, oh my God, my body's in the middle. Well, no. You have made, well, yes, you have made a bigger step, but no, you won't have any. Notice I'm going to rotate my hip. Boom. Now, because my hip is rotated, my body is simply mechanically able to achieve right on top of my foot. See, so now everything is on top of my right leg, and it's easy to get there. I don't have to, when I take a step like this, and I overestimate, when let's say especially like this, guys, a step like this, same distance, but look at my hip. Well, my hips are square. Because my hips are square, I can't get there. If I were to rotate my hip, then I can get there. And that is the difference. So now, in the presence of hip action, that I am now taking a step, always the same distance, right? Your leg is not going to get longer. Your leg cannot get further away from the hip. The hip can get further away from your center. You can rotate the hip and it goes ahead of you. But your leg cannot go any further than that. It can get closer to it, It just cannot get any further than that. You can't elongate your leg. So if I rotate my hip and I take that step that I was taking before, notice, boom, that is my step. Now, of course, we're in salsa. We're not going to go, okay, guys, we have now hip rotation, leg extension, now take a step. If you wanted to do it mechanically like that, yes, please practice this very slowly. It's actually really nice. But in salsa, we tend to do them both at the same time. We rotate the hip, we bend my knee, I take my step right underneath me. Yes, and that is your step, the biggest side step that you would take. Yes, in a salsa step. Cool. So now that you know how to measure, that is keep your hips square, get used to that distance so you know, okay, now anything else that you add will be as a result of hip rotation. Boom, and boom, and boom. See, if I rotate my hip, I can reach further back. I can reach further back, and it's because of the hip rotation, which can now lead to a whole freaking question. Well, Alfred, how do I rotate my hips? Because I cannot rotate my hips. That is a fair question, and one that I'll have a separate answer to because we can totally sidetrack right now, and I want to finish the thought that I have. Cool. So now that we know how to measure, now that we know that the bigger the step is a result of my hip rotation, but notice that my body's always on top. Now we can give the proper size of a step in the basic. Essentially, in salsa on two, we're looking to accentuate the second beat of the music. Now, if you have 4 counts and 4 counts, right? The second beat of each part of my hand is the 2 and the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in our basic, we're looking to accentuate the 2 and the 6. Why? Because that is the character of the dance. Like literally the whole difference between salsa on 1 and salsa on 2 is that on 1 changes direction on the first beat and the 5th beat of the music. On 2 changes direction on the second beat and the 6th beat of the music. And so to show how important this is, we accentuate the second and the 6th beat of the music when we're dancing on 2, and we accentuate the 1st and the 5th beat of the music when we're dancing on the 1. But on 2 then, to accentuate the 2, we do it in 2 ways. Number 1, we don't accentuate the 1, because you don't want to go loud, right? Because it's like accentuating them both. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You see that? So I don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because that's essentially the 1, the 2, the 5, and the 6. That's not essentially the 2 and the 6. Okay? So we go soft on the 1, accentuate the 2, soft on the 5, accentuate the 6. So actually it's funny because when I'm dancing, when I'm teaching salsa on 1, the few private clients that I have for on 1, I go 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Then when I'm teaching on 2, you hear me say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's really interesting how it's the same tempo, but I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes? So that's the difference there. So to do that, we're gonna go smaller on our first step in salsa, in the salsa on 2 basic. The question now becomes how small? And the answer is the size of the step, give or take an inch, of my first step. When I go like this, yes, I could be tangent or an inch apart. I'm going to take that first step very nice and small. So I'm going to rotate my hip, yes, because I want my hip action, but I'm going to take it right where I was before I did the rotation. So my first step is small, but then my second step is going to be the one that's produced fully extended with my hip rotation. 2, big. So you have anywhere between 3 to 4 inches or so on your big step, and anywhere between tangent to 1 inch on your small step. So my 1 is small, my 2 is big. This action, physical action in our body, now accentuates the music. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So my hip rotation lets me take the bigger step or smaller step. I can still control how far I go underneath my body, of course, with my step. But what I am not doing is forcing a step. Watch this. If I'm square, I am not going 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And now I'm taking a really long time and not having the hip help me with moving my leg. See? So now you have the efficiency of the hip action, which could be a whole question of its own. Then you can help yourself maintain a nice small action underneath your hip. By you staying underneath your hip, now your movement is so much more efficient that even if the music is fast, you are better prepared and equipped. You have at least one more tool to use to stay on tempo with the music. Okay, I really do hope that this is making sense. Of course, feel free to ask me any questions, you guys, and then I will try to reiterate, rephrase, or find another example or another view for you guys to see this. Okay, cool. So that is now the proper size of the basic. It is a small, and we're going to define small, give or take an inch, your heel to your toe tangent to each other, and big, your heel to your toe 3 to 4 inches, give or take an inch. Okay, so then 2, 3. My 3 is in place. My 5 is the same. It is going to be small. Yes, let's say tangent heel to toe, give or take an inch, plus or minus 1 inch, and then we're gonna go big, and it's gonna be 3 to 4 inches, give or take an inch, plus or minus, and my 7 is in place. So you have a small, big step, a small, big step, a small, big step, a small, big step. Now, a lot of you guys might be thinking like, well, Alfred, am I going to always be measuring my step? The answer is no. You try to create muscle memory. Yeah, you try to now create the idea that you're not going to use your leg. You're not going to use your muscles in your leg to take the step how we did in level 1, right? Because we were just trying to kind of survive in our intro class. But you're going to now develop the muscle memory of starting to use your hip to then be able to guide you. And once you do that, your step will always land at just about the same spot once you create that muscle memory. So it's efficiency, and now you're not even thinking about it, so it's muscle memory, and so then it gets easier and easier and easier and faster and faster and faster. This is not the only technique, of course, to get faster, to become more efficient. We're going to be discussing lots of these ideas in the next few classes that we have together. So one of the main concepts here is to have this coordination, okay? Coordination of the body so we can create more efficiency. So we only have a few more minutes left, you guys, so I'm going to play one more song. I'm going to dance trukutu that has a transition. That way you can see and hear the transition. The music is fairly fast. And see if you can keep up with oh, great, and yes, good. To me, it is everything really. Proper body mechanics creates efficiency. In efficiency, there's a feeling of effortlessness, and then in that effortlessness is where we all find beauty, right? People are like, wow, that person looks like so just so what's the word? At ease and grooving and effortless and just like, yeah, they're so natural. And so that's all it is. When you have proper body mechanics, and it directly relates to the music, then suddenly you are being a musical dancer, dancing effortlessly with ease, and that right there is what's going to make you a great dancer. Once you have that, then we have choices that we can add on top of that, and that's what I tend to call styling. But the basic of styling to me is mechanics. It is the physics of this. It is the technique of this. Yeah. Once you have the technique is styling. Literally, technique is styling. And if you don't have this basic techniques, I don't care how much styling you have learned, it's just not going to. If you don't have any easiness to your movement, it's just not going to look easy to the eye to look at you dancing kind of situation. Okay, so here we go. One last song, you guys. Yes, that's it. The body does flow with the proper body mechanics and thus makes you a way better dancer and gives you styling in it of its own. Now, what I have seen some people do, which is really cool marketing, maybe I should start doing this, is that they'll disguise technique under styling. They'll be like, styling that you guys can use is this hip rotation. But basic hip rotation to me is one of the most proper body mechanics that you have to learn, whether you're a man or a woman. And so I don't sell it under this guise of styling. But the funny part is that if I say styling, a lot of people are really into it. If I say it's technique, people get bored by it. All right, guys, here we go. Last song, and I will see you at 1:45 for bachata. Hear that? How long did it take you?
Se me acaba la energía para levantar el matruco. Ay, Dios. Un nendo de esos sabios bien pelú le dijo no traiga trucos, no es el matruco que eres tú. ¡Ay! Sabe trucos, así le dijo a su tía, se me acaba la energía para levantar el matruco. Ay, Dios. Un sabio que estaba oyendo, de esos sabios bien pelú, le dijo no traiga trucos, no es el matruco que eres tú, truco, tucu, 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 tucu. No es el matruco que eres. Salta la verja, perico, bríncala tú. No es el matruco que eres. Yo traigo tungo moderno pa' truco tú. No es el matruco que eres tú. Para que bailes tú y lo vaciles tú, mamá. No es el matruco que eres tú. Cutrucu, 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 tucu, tucu, tú. No es el matruco que eres tú. Dice, ahí.
Now, look at that song and listen to it again. All right, you guys, I'll see y'all later. But that song finished on 4 counts, yes? So it finished on 4 counts. I don't know if you were keeping track, but listen to it, pay attention to these guys, and I will see you guys back here in about 30 minutes. Adios.